Yeah, I would say that on a, my primary thing as far as like national government is getting the national government out of a lot of things. So on that level, I'd be considered libertarian, but on a local level, I might be a lot more authoritarian than I would be at a federal level.
Mm. Yeah, but I mean, this makes perfect sense that you can differentiate between different spheres and your political affiliation in those spheres. Um, I mean, you could go down to like family levels and immediate surroundings and have a different uh, stance on that than on global politics. I mean, it's also social, but your specific microcosm politics, how you deal with your family and your immediate friends.
Oh, I'll just say one thing. Say there was it might be with SJs. Say there was say the US Constitution had been written in a way that sort of enshrined bigger government. Then you might have a situation where you have SJs believing in bigger government because it was part of the Constitution. So the actual tradition of a country, sort of like, it is part of that, is a factor. I mean, so for what I mean is, like, say,
you're alive.
yes, like I said, say government healthcare was in the US Constitution right from the beginning, right? Then you would have SJs who would maybe more believe in it because it was in the Constitution. So it's this like historical belief that people have.
Why over time since there's been Supreme Court decisions that have essentially done that in some ways, not at healthcare specifically, but although I guess most recently. So you have more people that will accept that because there's been precedent, judicially, and we give authority to, well, the Supreme Court said so.
So basically, I might just introduce the political compass here. People who don't know it. So you have two scales. How you judge your political affiliation. Instead of one scale, left versus right, you have a differentiation between an economic scale, left versus right. Left economics is what's the English word? I forgot. Right economics would be more oriented to a few forms. Capitalism, and left economics would be more towards socialism, while the social scale, the epsilon axis, is the authoritarian scale. How authoritarian are you? So upper right, you would have some more authoritarian approaches, while this lower scale is more about the rights of the lower part is more about the rights of the individual. There's this thing. Did I share my screen? Do you all see that? No, I didn't share my screen. Now I don't hear you, Ben. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I did my part. I clicked on your square.
Okay. So this is the compass. You have four quadrants that you can basically put people into. The lower left is libertarian left. The typical libertarian, like in the US, is this quadrant. The lower right. Low on authoritarian, low on authority, but economically very right.
Okay. One thing I would say is that, like, your proper libertarians would be bursting a blood vessel at the term libertarian left. They might say,
Yes, it's,
socially liberal. But I get your point.
yes, but yeah, I mean it's a contradiction. But I mean there are left libertarians. I mean it is a political movement. But anyways, I mean the term left libertarian isn't even right for this because.
You could put liberty.
As well, I will show later, there are statistics on the parties in party members in the U.S. This is the Democrats. This is the U.S. Democrats most. They are in this quadrant. Then this would be the libertarian part, the U.S. libertarian part. The upper authoritarian right quadrant is your usual right conservative. Most of the Republican Party is within this quadrant. Most of the parties of the conservative right parties in every country, there's one done for Germany, for the UK also, is in this quadrant. And the last one, the upper left quadrant, would be basically communism, like authoritarian left economics. I mean, there are not many left that are in this quadrant, and there are basically no parties in the US who fill this quadrant. I mean, like really, there isn't. Even the Communist Party is somewhere on the middle in the political compass. There's some statistics on that, but I won't show them because it would be too much statistics.
Yes.
These two quadrants, the lower left and the upper right, are the classical parties. They are most populated individual-wise and party-wise in most countries nowadays. Like there's a conservative right and there's a socially liberal left. The two other quadrants are basically not populated by very much. They are sparsely populated by parties and maybe more by people, but I will talk about it more. Here is a mapping of actual government styles and political philosophies mapped to the political compass. This is, don't take this like literally. This is an attempt at doing this. I didn't do this myself. This is someone did this on the computer. So it gives you a general idea, and if we start to discuss the position of each philosophy, then we could discuss a lot of it. But let's just take it as it is. So you have social democracy somewhere in the mid between authoritarian left and liberal left. You have the more down you go on the social scale, on the epsilon axis, the more anarchistic it gets. Like on the left, it would be anarcho-socialism, anarcho-collectivism, and so on. On the right, it would be individualism and anarchism. Yeah.
What I'd say is though, is that bottom left quadrant, it needs to be authoritarian in order to enforce it, and that in practice, any of those societies in the bottom left are authoritarian.
No.
In practice, they are.
That's your libertarian view.
No, that's the truth, though.
No, I would disagree with that. But I mean, this kind of states do this. But I mean, that's just a view you have from our right economy perspective.
Okay, okay. How does anarcho-collectivism work without coercion?
True magic, like all political philosophies that are kind of out there.
Well, you know, how does it work? Because it has to assume that does anarcho-collectivism assume that everyone in the system thinks like them, or is it working with the population that they have?
Yes, I mean it's the axiomatic perspective is probably everyone wants to be in the system and everyone works in certain functions in a certain way as human, so that this would work out.
So it's only so wait a minute. So we have a situation where technically it's not authoritarian because you're starting from a premise that everyone wants to do the same thing, and so they don't need to be told what to do. Whereas if you're using real human beings, you would actually have to enforce it.
Yes.
So therefore, in reality, it is an authoritarian system.
In reality, you could make the same argument for the lower libertarian part, because it is assumed that it works with all people. And
well, I don't assume anarchism works. I assume anarchism it would be a playground for SPs.
Yes, basically. I mean, SPs don't have a very clear political opinion, but anyways. I mean,
their political opinion is what's in for me.
I mean, anarcho-capitalism and anarchism are the extremes of this quadrant.
Yeah.
So we can't judge the moderated parts of this philosophy, like libertarian socialism or democratic socialism, by the extremes in the very corners. I mean, you can't judge libertarianism by. I mean, this is done in political discussions. You do the strong argument that you see libertarians as anarcho-capitalism or anarchists, and you push these people into this perspective. But this is something interesting that I want to point out. I mean, you do the same for the for this quadrant. Like you view them into this anarcho-communism or anarcho-collectivism, or even say then in turn they have to be authoritarian to become national socialism or communism or totalitarianism. But and I mean the same thing happens for the left. Like when Democrats, U.S. Democrats that are entirely in this quadrant, in the mid of the quadrant, I will show a cluster plot of this later. Are talking about right-wingers. And when you have only one scale for right and left, then you are going to mix up the actual political positions that is more better described by the political compass because it differentiates between both. So when Democrats are talking about right-wingers or libertarians, they would equalize them to anarchists and anarcho-capitalists, and also in accordance to what you said, would state that it evolves into fascism, fundamentalism, and maybe nationalism. Like
wait a minute. You've got a situation here where like you got fascism there. Fascism is corporatism in which you have a big government and big business.
Yes.
And that is very different from free market economics. But I want to get down into the nitty-gritty of tell me what are the rights of the individual versus society in the libertarian socialism?
Can you restate the question?
Well, you see, the premise of this is you have put libertarian socialism in the...
I didn't do this. I didn't do this chart. So as I said earlier, don't take this like literal because of course this mapping can be problematic in detail, and you could have endless discussions about each label and its placements within. View it as a general idea, like. you have the more extreme ones in the upper corners, like for each one. This would be the stereotype of each quadra, like the stereotype view from the opposite political spectrum, like left-wingers are communists and national socialism, and all right-wingers are fundamentalism and fascists. And I mean, I find it very funny because
actually now in the United States, the stereotype of left-wingers is San Francisco. Because it's more amusing. That's the stereotype, is their crazy policies. And they're usually criticising them on social policy, on on social democracy and these weird, because they get them on the weird. It's more that they go at, because they recognise that they are like these weird inconsistencies. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where a lot of conflict potential comes from. You can really see that in this chart, like, or from the view of the political compass, where people are discussing an opposing view, and they are putting the opposing view into the extremes and are discussing it like that. So this is a general idea. Don't take seriously, but it gives you. I mean, I think overall these labels are correct. Like, they are put in the right quadra, and it's more or less okay.
Yeah.
So I had the hypothesis that you can put map all these four quadras to Jungian functions, and especially the judging functions. I did a thing here. Okay. I reduce the zoom in.
I agree with TI.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with the TI.
So
I mean, that is so much. I'll just say one thing where I've observed this.
Yeah.
In the Linux Action Show, they have like a chat room, and it's like most people in Linux. I would say the most common personality type amongst Linux users is INTJ. Like in the social skills they display, there's like a lot of FE polar,
yeah,
and a lot of them, and when they, and also his audience, he had a show, and you might be interested in this show, Wojtek, because it's somewhere in the middle where he gets criticised by people on the left and people on the right, and he has this show called Unfilter, where he sort of like looks at the news from an independent point of view, and Chris Fisher actually voted for the Libertarian candidate in 2012, and he would criticise both. But you see, he's not a total. Like I say, he is an independent, Chris Fisher, and so he had this show called Unfilter, which would show the bias in all of the news outlets, and a lot of libertarians maintain. Right, so there's that there. So I'll make my point. And what he noticed amongst his audience is that they were in those bottom quadrants and more towards the TI. But for that particular audience, like for instance, if you go on there, in fact, I think it might be tonight. They have no, not tonight, on maybe Wednesday, but they have the show Unfilter, and they have the chat room, and you will be able to, and because it's all text-based, you will be able to analyze people's politics in sort of like real time based on what they post. So I really recommend to people the Unfilter on JupiterBroadcasting.com, and you can see, and generally, and for the Linux show, so many of those people are libertarian.
Yeah. I mean, libertarianism is very TI, like deductively from a subjective logic. I mean, the bit you linked to me, what was his name, this Austrian school economist?
Ludwig von Mises?
Yes. I mean, he talked all about how Austrian school economics is not empirical, but at least honest about that. And that they derive their views from pure logics, from
Yeah, that's true. I'll just say one thing. What's great about it, though, is that I see it like this. Our TI is so great, we don't even have to check reality. But if you do check, you'll see we are right.
Yes, I mean that's
what it's like.
It doesn't get more TI than that. Like in worst cases, the worst case scenario, TI tends to do ivory tower thinking. You have this great theory that is internally consistent, and you talk all about it, and you can prove that all your statements are true and logically sound, but you don't look at the real world. I mean, you assume you're in the worst case scenario. You just assume you are right, but you do not make a reality check.
But that is what gives me a TI orgasm is the fact that Austrian school economics does fit the real world, and I'm like, well, it works, it really is true.
Yeah, I mean, along the statement that Austrian school economics does not like modeling the economy in a formal way. Like, this is so TI. I mean, the TA. Why I assigned this judging functions to the political affiliation is because I think this is like. You can map them one-to-one to this political report was like socially the extroverted judging functions versus the introverted judging functions on the lower part is because of course these functions are making you more subjective, more prone to view the individual than the social organization in the communal way. The cooperative way, maybe. And these functions, TA and FA, they have objective standards that they try to apply everything towards. So they are more prone to be authoritarian. I mean, and everyone that knows TA DOMs or FE DOMs know that they tend to be authoritarian themselves. While FI and TI people, especially FIs, are the protectors of the individual and try to protect every single person and its specialness. TI is somewhat like that. I mean, it protects individual thinking.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
The thing is with the FI. There's an interesting split there, because you've got FI with artisans, and they really like do my own thing, wear a leather jacket, don't want to wear a seatbelt. So you've got the SP FI types, the SFPs, MBTI codes folks deal with it. All the socionics people watching, I use the MBTI codes, right? So the SFPs, their FI is different from NFPs. Because NFs are generally compliant, and it's weird. You get this weird, from a libertarian point of view, there is this weird contradiction amongst the social left, where they want diversity and all of that kind of stuff, but they don't want anyone that thinks different from them, and they will attack anyone that thinks different from them, and they will castigate them.
Yeah, I think I did a diagram like this, but I have lost it. I think you still have it, where I put the types actually into this whole the 16 types into the compass.
Oh, I look.
Think, like the judging functions are defining the general political affiliation, because your perceiving function won't have much influence on how you judge things. And political affiliation is all about your general judging pattern. T is right, T is economic right, F is economic left. The extroverted judging functions are more authoritarian, the introverted judging functions are more social liberal. I think when it comes to the perceiving functions, the introverted functions are more moderate, are more all the introverted perceiving functions that are combined with this will tend to be more in the center maybe of each quadrant, while the extroverted ones might be more on the extremes. But that's I'm not sure about this hypothesis, so I do not include it here.
I found the diagram that you want, and I'll send it to you. So if you carry on, please.
This was the general hypothesis, and this is like deducted from type theory. And I wanted to see if I can find empirical proof for that. And there was one study done, one big study on the voting patterns of each type. I think the sample size of the study is 3,000 people, so it's quite good for any personality study. This is great. I mean, few of them have this much.
I've sent you the graphic.
Okay. So yeah, yeah. So this is what I did like a long time ago. I think I changed my opinion for this point, but
yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Very sorry to interrupt. But I remember now. EJR&D, so Ginger J McKee. He only subscribed to like 8 channels on his YouTube, and one of them was Peter Schiff. Schiff Report, very good channel, folks. Schiff Report. And I actually talked to him about Peter Schiff, and I don't know if it was the bias of his type, but EJR&D thinks at the time, this is like 2013, that Peter Schiff is an ESTP Enneagram 5. So he must like him if he thinks he's his own type. Because so EJ, and he even did a video on TI and libertarianism. And what I can do, folks, is I downloaded that video, and now that his channel is gone, I could send it to people. So I'll send that to you, Wojtek, where EJ&D is talking about libertarianism.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't agree with this one anymore. I did it like a year ago. I changed my perspective for this, but the general idea, it's right. So I did look at the study. Here.
ESFP in the bottom left.
Yeah, that's it.
Jeff would say the difference between an ESFP and an ENFP is that ENFPs believe in stuff.
But ESFPs might be more vocal and extreme about their opinions.
Well, like, I think the more in reality.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I don't want to discuss this, because I changed my opinion on that, and I don't want to confuse people with something I'm not certain about. So this was the study done for the. I don't remember. It's from 2000.
I mean, I just want to make a general point, though. I mean, in any other subject of life where these differences, like there are differences there, but like when you go in between, like say for ISTJ, 30% and 42%, and yet any other subject would expect something like 98% one way, 2% the other, to be statistically significant. Yet, so people need to remember that, you know, in general, yes, the SJs are going to be, but that's because of like local circumstances in terms of like what their family was and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely. I mean, INTP are there. Look at that. I mean, only 17% Democrat.
Yes, and the hugest independent part. I will go into this in detail now. Like, so I took this data and I did some plots of my own. Let's see here. This is IPython. So okay, this plot first. This diagram. What do we see here? This is the difference. If you take the data that I showed earlier between Democratic voters and Republican voters. So this is just the difference between the two. So it shows which type has a leaning towards either Democrats, which are depicted blue, or Republicans, which are depicted red. And as you see, all the F-types, nearly all the F-types, are left, are democratic. INFJ is the most democratic one, it seems, has the most ratio of, but I wouldn't take this very seriously, because INFJ, in the study, there are probably like 10 INFJs, and who knows if they are typed correctly. So
yeah, that's the one I doubt.
Because INFJ is a very rare type, the statistics on this might not be significant.
Yeah, I think a heck of a lot of INFJs are INFPs, and from what we know, I mean, like, I'll just give people a quick summary of how Kersey differentiated INFJ and INFP. Now, I think it's fair to say that David Kersey Sr. was a little bit of a libertarian, because he wrote about Ludwig von Mises, like in Human Action, in Personality, a lot. And David Kersey Jr. told me that he and his father talked a lot about Austrian stall economics. So, and the reason why I'm mentioning this, folks, is that in Kersey's profile of the INFP, he criticizes their ability to think logically. That's what he puts in the INFP profile. So I'll give people an example, and then by comparison I'll read out the INFJ.
Yes, I mean,
INFJ profile.
From TI perspective, when we get you can't TI and FI at the same time. Right. So yeah.
That's what. So basically, and the INFJ profile is very different. So for instance, I'll just tell you what I'm just telling people why Kersey put this. I think it's a political thing. They show a tendency to take deliberate liberties with logic, believing as they do, and unlike the rationals, that logic is something optional. They may also at times assume an unwarranted familiarity with a certain subject matter, believing in their impressionistic way that they know all about that, although they never really mastered the details. Here we go. They have difficulty thinking in conditional if-then terms. They tend to see things as either black or white, and can be impatient with contingency. So, like I said, so that thing, so basically Kersey Sr. saw INFP, so F-I-N-E, as they think in black and white, they have very strong moral views, very clear moral views, whereas by comparison, the INFJ, I'll tell you what it says, and then I'll give you my interpretation. They work with the... okay. Although these counsellors tend to be private, sensitive people, and thus are not usually visible leaders, they work intensely with those close to them, quietly asserting their influence behind the scenes with their families, friends, and colleagues. These seclusive and friendly people are complicated themselves, and so can understand and deal with complex ethical issues and with deeply troubled individuals. Now, what that indicates to me is, I would suggest that somebody who deals with complex ethical issues well is somebody who doesn't think in black and white, and somebody who sees all the angles, and is an independent in terms of ethics. And that would fit the hypothesis that the INFJ goes well with the ESTP, because the ESTP tends to be amoral.
That's definitely true. I forgot completely to show some other study to understand the data.
I mean,
there are people who say that
this is good. This is good. This one.
It's not right, and it's not a good tool. Then I would show them this.
Yeah, it's a good one. This
is a cluster plot of political party members who took the test. And it's not the UK-based one. There's a political quiz that's done in Britain, but this one is more geared towards an American.
Oh, when was it? Because it is important, because it is perceived amongst the Libertarians and the GOP that the Democrat Party has moved to the left. When was this taken? This data?
I don't know. Probably 2000 something, I guess, before 2010. I can look it up, but
because Bill Clinton was much more of a centrist than President Obama.
Yes. I think that the original UK political side puts Obama even in the upper right quadrant, but that's discussable. But it's not important now. These are the cluster plots from actual political party members, and as you see, the sample size is quite big. I forgot how big it was, but it's as you see, there are a lot of people to possess. These are the Democrats. They are largely in the lower left quadrant, the Libertarian left, with some extensions towards the socialism quadrant. Now, interestingly enough, this is the Republican Party. It is mostly in the upper right quadrant, the right conservatives. There's a huge part of libertarians in the lower right quadrant, but they also have like this part here. I find this very interesting. I mean, when you look at this chart, this would put them in the authoritarian statism area.
That's probably the religious voters.
That's I think these are SFJs. I think that these are mostly SFJs.
Yeah.
But I will talk about it later. So here's the overlap between both parties in one graph. I can.
Yeah, a lot of variance.
Yeah, and these are the libertarians. These are right libertarians that took the test, and they are mostly, predominantly in the lower right quadrant. So, as a tool, the political compass seems to do justice to actual to the mapping actual people's positions. This is a cluster plot of all of them, and the yellow part is the overlap between libertarians and Republicans and so on. This is the Green Party. It is somewhat more left than the cluster plot for the Democrats. And
oh yes.
So it's similar, but it's more to the economic.
I'll just give people there are a lot of Green people who used to be socialists.
Yeah. So they are economically more left than the Democrats overall. The Constitution Party is kind of all over there, but it's more right than left economically. And these are the independents, which is similar to the. I mean, they are in every quadrant, but with a focus on the lower left, like. And I think, as far as I know, it is a lot of independents are actual liberals in America. So we have this plot, and let's get back to my diagram here. Okay, so this is these are the actual statistics of the types voting either for the Democrats or the Republicans. And as you see, F types are nearly all Democrats, except for the ESFJ and ISFJ, and this is very typical. I mean, for the types that have this means when it's closer to zero, it means that they vote Democratic and Republican equally.
I'll just say one thing. Some people might not be able to see the. If you could just read out the type codes.
Oh, okay. Maybe I could make them bigger, but I will zoom in. So.
Yeah, because some people might be watching on their mobile phones, or they might have a degraded bandwidth.
Yeah. So we have on the left predominantly Democratic voters, the ENFPs, the ISFPs, the ESFPs, the INFPs, and the INFJs. So it's also mostly the FPs. And if we go with the hypothesis that a lot of these INFJs that are labeled INFJs are actually also some sort of FP.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you hang around typology groups long enough, you see that a lot of INFJs are actually some sort of FP.
Yeah.
Then this validates my hypothesis, which is when you put all the three together, like my hypothesis, and Fi is in the lower left quadrant, and you see that the Democratic Party, I'll show this up again, where is it? Here. The Democratic Party is mostly concentrated on the lower left quadrant. Then this is an interesting result. I was surprised that it worked so well. Like it proves that F types tend to be more more economically left than the T types. We have predominantly T types and especially TJs in the predominantly Republican side. And so, based on my hypothesis, TJs, TE users, should be the most traditional voters for the Republicans, because the Republicans are mostly in the upper right corner. So I did another plot, and this one shows the difference between, I called it the traditional voters chart, traditional party voters. So the difference between the votes that go either for Democrats or Republicans, the big traditional parties, or independent, minus independent vote. So.
So wait a minute. So when you say, is a traditional voter somebody who usually votes the same as voted a particular way in the past? Someone who identifies strongly with a party?
No, because I don't have like statistics on that.
What do you mean by traditional?
By traditional, I mean voting predominantly for the big parties and not for independent or another party. Okay. So. And as you see, ESTJs and ISTJs are most consistent traditional party voters. Like, they are least likely to vote independent. So they are either Democratic or ISTJs, and as we see here, they are predominantly Republicans.
Can I say one thing? In Kersey temperament theory, I think ESTJs and INTPs are opposite.
Okay.
Sorry, ESTJs and INTPs are opposites.
Yeah, and there we have it. Who is this can be right. Wait a minute. INTP should be actually up here. I messed up the plot for some reason. Let me see.
And while you do that, I'll just check personology. The reason is because the way Kersey does the temperaments, he has a matrix. He has compliant, adaptive, and abstract, concrete. And NTs are in the opposite quadrant from SJs, and ESTJs are best at logistics, and so in Kersey temperament theory, at least, ESTJs and INTPs are opposites using his dichotomies. Let's have a look.
Yeah. So I jumped ahead because this was the last one that I did.
Yep. Yeah, and in fact, according to Kersey, the worst role for an INTP is supervisor.
Yeah. That's probably true.
I think Bill O'Reilly. I mean, Jeff thinks that Bill O'Reilly is an SP. I think he's an ESTJ, because whenever anyone says something that's theoretical, he says that's just theoretical. That's just right. So I think Bill O'Reilly is an ESTJ, and he has a lot of policies. He has a lot of things. He can be pretty. He can be somewhere in the middle on that authoritarian side. So he's probably he's above that line, but he's
this should work out. Can you fill in? I have to tinker a bit.
okay. That's okay. Right. Well, while you do that, I could fill a little bit. I'll just go off your. Although if we have got an INTP audience, they might be loving watching Wojtek with his numbers. Like, oh, I don't know why he's done that. Oh, he should do this. So, I will. Right, I'll give you some thoughts on the three different kinds, the three sort of axes, the three main strains within the Republican Party. There is the strain of the national security Republicans, those that are willing to put safety before security, and this is a big schism between those and the Libertarians. So between, say, Chris Christie and Marco Rubio, they would be associated with the big government in terms of national defense, and actually impinging upon rights of citizens in the name of national defense, and that would be opposite to Rand Paul. And I see Chris Christie as an ESTJ and Rand Paul as an INTP. So that's one strain. There are also the social conservatives, and the social conservatives can still vote for big government. You know, in other areas, you can have social conservatives that believe in big government.
Okay, I've got it again.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the actual traditionalism voting chart. So
right.
This is voting traditionally, meaning voting for either Democrat or Republican, minus voting independent. So a high value means you predominantly vote either the Democrats or Republican and don't go for independent or another party. So ESTJs and ISTJs are more consistent with this, and I mean, who could be more traditional than both of them?
Oh yeah.
INFJ is somewhat of a surprise here, but as we talked about earlier, this may be due to the sample size and the not correct typing of those.
Yeah.
So basically, we have all from here to here. All SJs are the highest ones on traditional voting. They vote for the big parties. They don't go for some weirdo independent party. Or
Hey! Careful! Yep. What you're saying.
What?
Careful what you're saying, because I'm the sort of person that believes in those weirdo parties.
Yes, I mean, I'm not judging. I mean, I'm just like humorously.
Yeah, I know.
An SJ perspective from the stereotype of an SJ. But
yeah.
Hey, this statistic shows it. They actually vote very traditionally. So all SJs are here. And then, which type does vote mostly independent and is not conformism in voting for the big parties. It's mostly INTP and ENTP.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is an interesting result. It's great to actually see this. So the last plot I will do is a combination of this and this. And let's see if I get this right. I just remove everything that I changed. Okay, now it should be working. So what I did here is, this is basically this plot weighted by how traditional each type votes. So it's basically because, for example, we have INTJ here as the most predominantly Republican voting type, but INTP also, but they also vote a lot independently. So this chart doesn't take this into account. This chart does, and it shows Republican versus Democrat most consistently. And the most consistent Republican Party voters are the ESJs and the ISJs and the ENTJs and the INTJs. And this is so perfect. I mean, when you take the hypothesis, these are all TE types. And on the other side, look at that. Let's ignore INFJ for a while. INFP, ESFP, ISFP, and ENFP, all FI types.
Yeah, and in Model G, INFJ is an FI social mission type.
Yeah, but in this statistics, it's a statistical fluke. Everything that has to do with INFJs will be, you can take...
Yeah, I think there's mistypes there. There's mistypes.
So you can view this as some sort of combination of all the FI types who think they are INFJs.
INFX.
Yeah. So this plot is perfectly. It is completely in line with my hypothesis here. FI, Democrats. I mean, if you combine all of this, FI, and when you look at this one here, Democrats are mostly FI voters.
I mean. Republican rhetoric is always focused on small business and all these kind of things. Because I've seen so many of these speak. I think I can hear a small person talking to Nicole.
Nicole's daughter.
Oh shoot, guys! I'm sorry. Thought I had the.
Are you gonna switch your webcam on, Nicole?
I'm still running around the house cleaning.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I didn't realize I wasn't muted. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Right.
So this result is excellent. Like, it totally supports. I mean,
you're having a TI orgasm now.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Here is my hypothesis.
Wait, are you guys not live anymore?
No, we are live.
Yeah.
It's just that I used a fruity term. That's
So
why we were
mine says off air, so that's why I asked.
So here's something I deduced from logical considerations. Then I took some actual data, and wow, it's it works out. This is.
Oh, something else, Wojtek. I was going to say this before. You know, you were talking about F versus T. You could look at, say, this year, maybe because there's not. You could look at the convention speeches of Obama and Romney, and do a word analysis, because they do the word cloud things, and then you could like see if this is more of an F word, a feeling word, or a thinking word. Because they do the word clouds. I love the word clouds. You know where they make the word bigger for how, depending on how many times it's used. So, for instance, in the maybe Romney's convention speech, maybe had an emphasis on business, entrepreneurship, common sense, all these sorts of things. And maybe that would, and you could see if the word usage matched up with the because Kersey does that, like I said, personology.
Yes.
You can match up the words.
Yes, and that's what I love about Kersey. I mean, he links his dichotomies to. I mean, he doesn't have the. Yeah, he doesn't have the. But he links it to actual linguistical structures. Like, I mean, abstract versus concrete is an actual thing in linguistics. I did like something, a personal project with that, where I tried to do text analysis, but I gave up this project because it would be too much work.
I'll just say that he expanded upon that in Personology, and I'm just going to show people the book. This is it. It's a Personology by Kersey, and what I'll just say to people is he wrote and he expanded upon it by saying that right, okay, here we go. Is that he expanded upon it, and he said that, and I'll just talk about this for a minute, Wojtek, then I'll let you get back in. So he described how Guardians used orthodox words, and he's got like 4 pages in this book. Right, so I'm going to help sell the book to INTPs watching. My loyal INTP audience. Although I do view this channel as a collaborative effort because of all the people, so it's not really my channel, I just direct it. It's everyone who comes on this channel that makes it good. And I consider, and I'm about to say this is the best English language socionics channel. Because there aren't really any others. Not any others. There's only really Jack Aaron interviewing people, and he hasn't got graphics, and he hasn't got Victor. And he hasn't got Maria. The 2 sources of... but I think that's what puts it over the top, is that because we have Maria, and she's an expert in... She knows Victor's system so well. But if we're talking about... I think she is why this makes this the best English language socionics channel.
Both the Jungian types messaged me. We can talk about this later.
Oh yeah. They will make the channel even better. But we're strictly not socionics. But yes, I'm going now to page. So I'll just, and then we can get back to that because we'll talk about language. Orthodox words, page 103. And this is to help sell the book to you as well. So Guardian.
I'm already sold. I have to get it because. It sounds like gold.
Yeah, it sounds like what?
Like gold.
Yeah. And also, there's one review on Amazon. Only INTPs will understand this book.
Yeah.
And to us, that is a compliment. that is like, well, we've got to get this book if only we can understand it. Yeah. Right. And so here, I'm going to give an example of. Right. Excuse the legs, folks. I'm wearing my shorts. So it's Guardian's words and tools. Right, because it's a little bit dark, what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to adjust my light so that my webcam can autofocus better. So I'm just going to remove the lampshade. So I actually have a bit of cardboard as the lampshade. So you can all now see it's a lot brighter. And so now the camera will autofocus better. So Guardian's words and tools. So what you can do at home, folks, is pause it. Wait a minute, I still want you to buy the book. So you can like pause that, folks, and then read it later on. And in fact, you could do the same thing, Wojtek, when you come and watch this video later on. And so we've got there. Right, so we've got here. Oh, look at that! Again, look how INTP this is ordered. Just put a little matrix in there.
In general, if you haven't read, please understand me. Get this book. I'm not saying that if you type it into Google, there might be a PDF version for free, but...
Whoa.
I'm not saying anything.
You know, you're the only one bought this book, but there's a PDF of Please Understand Me Too, but... Oh
my god. I hope David Kersey Jr. doesn't watch this video.
David Kersey Jr.? Oh, he knows about that, but I'm just saying people should buy Personology. Anyway, orthodox words, and then it gives examples of the types of words SJs use. Now, Jeff has said that sometimes Kersey Jr. uses like Kersey Sr. used 1950s type of words because he wasn't over, because that's his era. So again, those are the words that he thinks they use those kind of words. Again, orthodox words, and like I said, if you think of a okay, how can I put this delicately? If you have an SJ growing up in a household where Ebonics is spoken a lot, then that will be conventional for that SJ. Right. Of course. Did you ever watch Red Dwarf, Wojtek?
Yes.
Lister had that speech. Responsible. He says responsible, dependable, reliable, and all other words ended in ibble. So they're Guardian words, the ibble words. Stoical, responsible, accountable, dependable.
Yeah, I mean, I want when I might have some time in the future to do this linguistics analysis project that I want to do, but this would be like a huge project that I might find some people who are actually into natural language processing, and have experience with this, with somebody who's listening to that, who's actually into that. And
that's what Kersey Jr. did he did natural language processing for his PhD. So this section is orthodox words, and then we have quantitative words. So Kersey actually thinks that Guardians talk numbers a lot. Now, is that your experience, Wojtek? I mean, does your ESTJ father talk facts and figures a lot?
Yes, I mean, not maybe figures, but facts that he read somewhere. I mean, but this is typical for TE DOMs. When they read something from a source that they consider authoritarian, then they are less critical about it. Like, we INTPs are critical about everything we
yes.
Like, even if we agree with it.
Yeah, and this is where his INTP nature is showing. Where now he's talking about class, cluster, sort, and sets. Like I said, this is his most INTP book. Like, his type really shows in this book.
Yeah, and I mean, please understand, me too is also great. Like, you have all the tables that put his theory in a concise way. So
it's a good balance that between like depth and so that a general audience can understand it, an intelligent general audience.
Yeah.
And then you've got associative words. Now this is interesting to me because it's almost as if it shows, because SJs value NE, and then he puts here Guardian speech is coherent in the associative sense, which means that they're more from one topic to another associatively rather than deductively. So they're actually using NE.
When can we like make a cut here and maybe start another hangout for because I'm pretty much done with this political affiliation stuff.
All right. Okay. What we can do is we can stop and okay. So yeah, associative words. Right, and then we can stick that over there. Right then. So we can, okay, yeah, that'll be good because it'll make it shorter. If I cut this in half, and then we can name the next one. So I'll stop it now, and then we'll, maybe what we could do is while we're at it, we could actually do another Kersey one. We will see.